Hello, welcome to Mental Shift. Reach your full market potential. My disclaimer. The opinions made by the host or guest do not reflect those of the show, management, the Bender Carey Group, or its ancillaries. Welcome to the show. Today I have with me Steve Austin, astronaut. No, actually, I have Steve Austin.
A man barely alive.
Well, he is from the Actors Voice Workshop. I met him 2 weeks ago,
Right.
and was blown away by his class, and I wanted to share him with all of you. If you want to learn more about his workshop, go to www.theactorsworkshop.com. That's actors with an S, workshop.com. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for allowing me to call you the $6 million man.
Well, I answer to everything except Stone Cold. No, don't do that.
Well, I need to ask you about the workshop, because I know you're part of a franchise, Roaring Success. Now, how did all this come to pass?
So the quick story is rewind to about 2006, and I was just kind of lost. I was doing a lot of voiceovers, and I had already retired from the Air Force back in 2003. And I really wanted to stop doing theater after a while, and I said, there's got to be something else out there, And so I looked at Denver, and by chance I was watching the news one night, and I saw a story about Big Fish Talent, which was my previous agency. I'm no longer with them, but still, I saw this a news article about him, and they showed Paul Neal Rohr and Peter Dianello, who became my first agent.
Oh.
And they were doing a showcase, a weekend showcase, with these actors from L.A. whom they know. And I said, "What? I gotta get to know
right
these
up the
guys."
street.
Yeah. I said, "They're in Denver." I said, "Okay, I gotta go to Denver if I really want to, try to make a career." And so I looked both of them up. I ended up signing with Peter Dianello with Big Fish Talent in 2006. And then from there, on the weekends, we used to do free weekend workshops for any of the actors who were signed by the agency. And Paul was one of the coaches. And he would come out there, and that's how I met Paul Rohr. And then I decided to sign up. I loved his coaching style, and I decided to sign up for his workshop. Well, it was a 3-month wait at that time.
Wow.
Back in the mid-2000s. It was a 3-month wait to get into his workshop. Because he's been coaching since 1983 in Denver.
Paul Rohr.
Paul Rohr, and that's Rohrer.
But it's a pretty cool name.
Hence the name Roaring Success. And so it's perfect.
It's brilliant.
So I finally got into his workshop in July of 2006. And just within 3 months, I booked my first commercial. Just like that. Because I was doing the work away from workshop. I knew how to break down a script. I knew how to address the camera and not overplay, because being in theater, there's two different things.
Big and loud.
Right.
Yeah,
Theater, you can cross this giant stage, but on camera, it's all about right here and shrinking everything down and just using your vocal pattern, your intention, your eyes, and not using your eyebrows, because I'll break a lens, with these things. So, right. And then it just grew from there. And then 8 years later, he offered me the opportunity to franchise. He said, I really see in you a coach, and I think you should think about being a coach. And I was like, I haven't done much. I'm not even SAG-AFTRA yet back then. And he goes, so just think about it.
Back then, did you hear that?
Right, back then, yeah. It wasn't that long ago, it seems like. But so fast forward to 2013, I was working for the government. I won't say where, but and I was a government employee at GS12, and I was really struggling badly, because my acting career was taking off, and trying to balance that with a full-time
with the
job.
9 to 5, yeah.
It's tough going all the way up to Denver for just a 5-minute audition and turning back around and coming all the way back down to work. That's tough on you. And so, at any rate, in January of 2013, I really was having a tough time. and needed some help. And the help told me, hey, look, you need to make a change.
Yeah.
You really do. And so I talked to my wife, Dana, who's just an amazing spouse. We've been married for 36 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you're only 40.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that. I know you do the math. So we sat down, had a really good, honest conversation about, well, what can we do to make this happen? She said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I remember Paul saying, what about being a coach, an acting coach? And I'll have you franchise my workshop down in the Springs. There's no acting coaches down here whatsoever. So I went, that's it. That's what I'll do. I'll be an acting coach during the week, and I'll still be able to go on auditions and all that. So in June of 2013, I opened up shop, The Actor's Voice, to one student.
Oh, you only need one to start.
You only need one to start. But he was kind of hit or miss, and so for a long, long time, I was trying to promote, trying to get my name out there. It takes a lot of work to be your own small business owner, as you know. And so, but then in January of 2014, it took that long, then I had, he dropped out, and I got my first official 2 students. And then they told 2 friends, and they told, and then
that's how it works.
Right. And so before I knew it, in June of 2014, I had 6 students, and we were on our way. And it's been like that ever since. It's been up and down. It goes cyclical. You go from 16 people, and now you just started next week officially. And so we welcome you to the group. But we have a fantastic group of actors. It's a revolving door. Some come for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, and then they take a break. Then they come back. It's like leaving the nest and whatnot. But I'm really proud of everybody. So
you should be. It's a really good group, and he's an amazing coach. Now, my plan, and the reason I joined, people are like, Michelle, you're an efficiency strategist at the Bender Carey Group, and you're an international speaker. Why in the world are you in an acting class? I believe that being able to present yourself well, projecting, using your voice, and being able to use inflection. Have you ever noticed that you like to listen to my podcast? It's because I don't talk like this all the time, and because I have emotion in my voice. And that is why I joined an acting class, because if you are ever presenting, if you're in a conference room, if you have people under you and you ever have to present anything, if you are in sales, anything, you need to be able to speak where people want to hear you. I happen to be in the business where I really want people to listen to what I say and actually not go on their phone and disappear and blank me out. I do this by taking acting classes, improv classes. I put myself in front of people so I am challenged to stretch my ability to speak. So when you're watching me on Facebook Lives on Wednesdays, if you're watching and listening to these podcasts and you're like, I really like this lady's voice, it's because I take acting classes. It does not come naturally. It's a developed skill.
Bingo.
It's a skill that everyone needs.
Good. Yeah.
And my big thing is, like you said, from stage. You learn how to expand yourself big. I say big and loud so that you can pull yourself back small. If you can learn big, you can bring small. And then from small to big, you can be whoever you need to be in whatever instance you need it to be. Yeah, just think about that.
Right. And what we work on in the workshop are twofold. We work for commercials, which is totally different than really film and television, where you're playing a character. Okay, but I want to hit on some things here with that. But
yes,
for television,
we got plenty of time.
Yeah, for television commercials, the way it is now, the industry, they just want actors who can be themselves. Did you hear me? Be themselves, not being as someone else. They just want you,
humans,
reading the script as if you would. So gone are the days of, hey, do you want a new car? Well, you got to come down to Bob's Auto. We got a million of them. It served a purpose, and it was fine. But now the clients, ad agencies, and even the clients themselves, whoever is hiring the talent, they just want real. And if you take a look at the commercials these days, it's everything from famous actors just being themselves who are selling a product or a service, and then there's the regular actors who are just selling a product or a service. Some of the exceptions might be some of the characters that you see, like the Progressive guy, maybe the Sonic guys. I mean, they are just famous for that. You have Flo, who's amazing.
Yes.
Flo for Progressive, and some of the other agencies or clients. But and they're fantastic. So you need to Captain Obvious. That's another character. But that guy that's who he is in real life. He's probably just like that, and that's how he got the job, by going into the audition, being himself, and just reading the lines like he would read a book out loud.
Who's the one I like? Mayhem.
Yeah, Captain Mr. Mayhem.
Mr. Mayhem.
Yeah, that guy, he's amazing.
He's
he
awesome.
Really is good. And he hit a gold mine. You never know what's going to hit. And it could start in Denver. It could be in LA. You just don't know what's going to blow up. It's just like a YouTube video. You don't know what's going to go viral. And so that's it.
Well, I need to ask Mr. Steve Austin, what have you been in? Where can we see you?
Oh, wow. So my biggest claim to fame right now is I was on an episode of Better Call Saul down in New Mexico.
Better Call Saul?
Yeah, last year was probably my best year so far for bookings down in New Mexico. And it began with just the audition. I have a great agent down there, Tina Presley, in Albuquerque. And I was selected she submitted me for the audition for the role of a lawyer, Kenneth Kazanjian, what a name. And so she sent me the script. I see it's just about 3 lines. And I memorized it, of course. I did my work, a script breakdown, what's my character's background, even for just what we call a fiver. That's all it was a fiver, 5 lines or less. So I went down there to the casting director, did the audition, and then they played for the director of the series, and then they liked it. And they liked it so much they selected me for what's called a callback audition, second audition. So and that was on my way home. So I went all the way to Albuquerque Studios, did the audition, and was on my way back when my agent called and said, "Hi, hon, I hope you haven't left town yet. Turn around. You have a callback tonight at 7." So, and it was 5 o'clock at the time. So I turned around, and thank goodness I was only in Santa Fe. Turned around, and I go all the way back down there, waited till the callback, and then did the callback for that one. And then on the way back out to the car, the casting associate came running out saying, Steve, the director wants you to come back in and read for this role too. And I'd never seen the script, and she just handed it to me, and it was a page long. It was a whole scene.
You had to memorize all that?
Very quickly, yes. But I'm trained by one of the best, Paul Neal Rohrer, who taught me how to, very quickly look at a script, get the gist of the story, the relationship, and what it is that you want from the other character and what they want from you. That's the bare minimum. If you know how to do that in less than 5 minutes, you're gold. You don't go from, oh my gosh, to, oh my gosh, what do I do? You're calm. You rely on your training. It's just like being in the military, right? You fall back on your training, the fundamentals, the script breakdown, and know the story, relationship, and intent. You're good. And so I was able to, because the writing is so good, I was able to memorize it, no problem. I went in there, I had the script in my hand, went in there and said, yeah, Steve, thanks for not leaving so fast. We want you to read, we think you're good for this role too. Anyway, so I did that, I went home, and then about a week later, my agent calls and says, you're not only pinned, what's called pinned is like a top 5,
Wow.
But you're also up for network approval out in Burbank, California. They send all the tapes to the network executives. So it's not just the director that approves you. The network has to approve all actors who have a speaking role. And I said, wow, this is going fast. The very next day, I get a call from the costume department at Albuquerque Studios. So it kind of jumped the gun. All of a sudden, I'm like, I have a costume fitting? So that means I'm booked? And she goes, well, we don't know. We're just the costume department. You need to come down here and get a fittings. So I kind of put two and two together. I mean, if you're going to get a costume fitting, you're going to be on the show, and it's generally the next day.
Wow.
Well, the next day happened to be my 55th birthday.
Oh.
And before I knew it, I'm on the set of Better Call Saul on my 55th birthday in a $2,000 suit.
Best birthday present ever.
Ever, yeah. And so on my website, on the actorsvoiceworkshop.com, is the scene that I'm featured in from Better Call Saul. And we shot it. I got to work with Bob Odenkirk, Michael McKean, Rhea Seehorn, Jonathan Banks. I got to meet him, all the stars in that series. And it was episode 10 of season 4, called Winner.
Cool.
Yeah, and so, but before that, I was in a holiday movie called Heaven Sent as George the Mailman. I'm in the opening scene of that movie, and it runs on Lifetime television. Occasionally, it ran for about 2 years. I don't know. I think now it's too old for them. Really, it's not a first run anymore. But I had a great time. We shot that entirely in Boulder and Denver, Colorado. Rick Ramage was the writer and producer. And again, the same process. You audition, callback audition, and if they want to hire you, then you're booked.
The power of yes in the acting world. Actually, it's the power of yes in all of our worlds. Be ready. And I talk about this a lot on the show about if you want something, prepare for it. Basically, get the education, get the training, get whatever you want, whatever certification you need. It may not be right in front of you, but when the opportunity comes, you need to be ready for it.
That's key. You know, Peter Dianello and Paul Rohr always had this saying, and I use it to this day, is success only happens when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yes.
And so are you prepared for success at any time of the day? So when your agent says, hey, you got an audition and it's a 6-scene script and it's tomorrow in Albuquerque, what are you going to do? Are you ready to drop everything you have going on in your life for the biggest opportunity at success? And how are you going to perform? Are you going to freak out? But are you going to fall back on your training? Are you with a professional coach like myself and Paul who know how to prepare you for those opportunities? And cold reading. How are you with cold reading a script and with a scene partner? You know, that's a whole different animal. So scene work, commercial work, monologues, things like that, cold reading, that's what we work on in the workshop.
And it's phenomenal. I came in for my first class, I came in and audited a class. Mm-hmm. You can explain what auditing is. Yep. But I came in and audited a class on teleprompter work. Mm. And as a stage performer, as a speaker on stage, there's oftentimes a teleprompter in my midst. I've never used one before because I've been afraid of it. So I took the class so I can get comfortable with the idea of a teleprompter. And then my future will eventually have many, many teleprompters in my world. So it was just a really neat thing to be able to be a part of, and then to join the cast, to join the group at the workshop is exciting because you learn from listening to other people learn. Right. And that's basically what I do. I'm an observer, and I watch the other actors talk and speak and mess up and then fix. And that's what's really cool about Steve is he'll hear you and do, try a little bit about this, or think about this and then try it again. And I watched them grow in front of my face.
Isn't that amazing?
It was beautiful. That's and cool. I said, I'm not an actor, but I'm willing to play one. Right. I'm willing to learn.
And teleprompter, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't put that in my little spiel, but teleprompter and what's called ear prompter is a whole nother thing. That's another level up from teleprompter. But teleprompter is what the newscasters use, and has a script that rolls up right in front of the screen.
Ron Burgundy.
Right, Ron Burgundy, right, exactly. And but it's more than just anybody can just read a script and just, okay, today in Colorado Springs, so-and-so did this to so-and-so. Well, they use teleprompter for all kinds of things, training videos, commercials even, long infomercials. And it's a way so that the actor doesn't have to memorize, but actors need to know how to prepare for teleprompter work.
You need to be able to read in more than just 3 words. You have to read the whole sentence and what's next. Right. So you know when your inflection needs to change or when the comma's coming.
Right. So you need to be almost memorized, but you don't have to be memorized. so that at any one point when the script is rolling, you can see I'm at the beginning. Oh, now I'm in the middle of the script. I know, oh, here comes the ending. I'm ready to go. And so that you're not caught off guard, and they can't do that. Now, ear prompter is a little device like a hearing aid that fits in your ear, and it's hooked to a micro cassette recorder. And we talk about that. That's more difficult and technical because you're recording your voice and the script into a micro cassette recorder, and then you play it back, and you wait 3 words, and then you start. And you have to stay behind yourself 3 words the whole way. It's very, very difficult. And not everybody's cut out for it. We try to see who is in the workshop, and it's no fault if that's really, really hard work. You really have to work at it to get up there. But the pay is incredible for actors who know how to do ear prompter, right? And I've done many jobs with an ear prompter. I've done auditions that are really, like a whole big paragraph, and they never knew I even used it because I use a wireless ear prompter.
Oh, sweet.
So I just walk in there and go, wow, you just nailed it. I mean, that was word for word. And I go, thank you. And I walk away without saying a thing. I'm not going to let them know.
No.
So,
you just look like a genius.
I mean, now they know, but, who cares? The job's over.
Yeah, you look like a genius. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed the workshop. Now, what nights do you do your workshops?
We're right now, currently, I only have one night, and that's Tuesday nights from 6:30 to 9:30. And we're down at the Cottonwood Center for the Arts. Great facility.
In Colorado Springs.
In Colorado Springs. It's on the corner of Colorado Avenue and Corona Street. And it's a great facility run by John Curry, who's just amazing gentleman, loves the arts. It's filled with artisans, everybody from artists, painting, to photography, to jewelry making, pottery. They have classes down there, so come by and check them out. Cottonwood Center for the Arts, yeah.
And then
we're
Tuesday nights.
Upstairs.
Yeah, Tuesday nights they're upstairs in the auditorium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a multi-use theater space. It has a screen, brand new screen that just went up. And that's for a separate thing called the Peak Film Forum. But anyway, so we are able to show films in that theater space, so it's really cool.
Well, and you have a few of these actors that I met who are in commercials that we were sharing on our chat. Seeing them in action was really cool because they look like normal people, right? But they're in film, and it's really cool to see.
It is. I'm really happy with a lot of my actors are now signed by my agent and other agents in New Mexico, and by my other agent in Denver, Don Baldwin Talent, and that's who I'm with now. So when they're ready, and generally that comes from me, and then I ask them, though, what do you think about getting representation? Because I think you're ready now to do this for real. But only if you're ready to commit. You have to be able to commit to the audition. The answer is always yes when your agent calls and says you have an audition next Tuesday. Now, up in Denver, you'll have a 3 to 5 days notice, so you can work it out. But if you can't be what we call dependable, reliable, and available, if you're not those 3 things, it's just not going to work out. So you need to decide. And for theater actors, you also need to decide what you're going to commit to, because theater is a bigger commitment. It's a longer commitment. It's like 3 months long of a run from the time you're starting rehearsals, then you're doing tech, and then you do the run for 3 weeks. It's hard to be available for an acting class at night when generally that's when rehearsals are, right? So, but we love theater actors because you guys know how to take direction right off the bat. And so it's a more of a smoother transition for theater actors than someone who's right off the street. And we have both. We have people who have never tried acting before. I had a lawyer. Two of my first students was a retired lawyer at the time, and a hypnotherapist, and who neither have ever tried acting. And in a year, they were signed not only by agents in Denver, but they went down to New Mexico and both got signed down there, and they're doing auditions for TV shows, and one of them moved to New Mexico.
Oh, cool.
And so he's doing it.
And then my thing is, I love to do voiceovers.
Oh, yeah,
well,
me too.
Every time I work anywhere, I'm always the voice of the answering machine. So I love to do that, and I never really thought of it as acting, but it is. It is. So I think they erased my voice, but if you're ever in Omaha, I am. Thank you for calling Omaha Federal Credit Union. If you'd like to speak to a teller, please press 1. And now
Nice.
I'm the thank you for calling Bender Carey Group.
Yeah, there you go. That's a whole different animal. I used
I
to
know.
coach voiceovers as well because I do that as well. I've done
Really?
that for 30 years.
It's so much fun.
It is, but it's very competitive, and everybody has to have one of these microphones and software, and anybody who can do it, have that kind of setup in their house is your competition.
Wow, and that's a lot.
And the thing is that, but they want that stuff like right now. So you really need to decide, are you going to be available at all hours for a voiceover? Because they'll send you the script and they'll expect you to put it all together, and you need to have your own home studio.
Yep.
Gone are the days, really. There's very few that are able to go to any studio like I used to. They used to just call me in because I didn't have, I still this day, I don't have any home studio. And
Really? I have all this at home.
I've done over 500 voiceovers in my career, 500, and not one at my own home.
Wow.
They always called me in, and I would show up to the studio, knock out the voiceover, pay me a lot of money, and then I'd go home.
I was just asked to be a voiceover for books, to be an audiobook person.
Oh, really?
Well, I've been recording my own book. And the guy's like, I like your voice.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you have a really nice voice. And that's another animal, too. That's a part of the voiceover world. And that's very lucrative if you can get into it. They typically the bigger companies like to go with celebrities.
Yes, of course.
They do a lot of books on tape. Tom Hanks and so on and so forth. But
Matthew McConaughey.
Right, Matthew McConaughey, and that distinctive Southern Texas drawl. It's just amazing.
I have an app on my phone that I can listen to stories to put me to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey was on one of the sleep stories. I'm like, really?
Oh, I know that one. That's
Really?
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. But it's like I said, it's very competitive, and you have to be available. It's a full-time gig.
Oh.
It really is. If you want it to be, if you really want to be competitive, you have to be at home the whole day and ready for hey, I got a voiceover for you, but I need it at 12 noon. Literally, I need it at 12 noon.
I had a movie ask me to be the computer voice, and it's a sci-fi movie filmed here in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And I am access denied. Access granted.
That's great. That's cool. Wherever the jobs are.
Altitude, pull up. It was so fast. I'm like, am I doing this right?
That's great. Well, if you develop that talent, then you should at least.
I am. That's why I'm in your workshop.
Yeah, that's good. We're glad to have you. But yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. For 13 years, I was the arena announcer for Air Force basketball.
Really?
Yep. I started that when I was in the Air Force still in 2001. Before I retired, they heard me at what we call the commander's call, and I used to read all the citations for the medals. And the athletic person there came up to me and said, "Hey, you got an awesome voice. How would you like to be we're looking for a new PA announcer." And so, and that led to 13 years of doing that, and I had a blast.
I love the serendipity of how things come together like that.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah,
Yes.
It's just right place, right time, and
being ready.
Yeah, being ready.
Always be ready.
Yeah.
You like how we put that back in there? Like
I love it. Smooth.
Now, if you want to learn more about, I like to call him Steve Astronaut, Steve Austin Astronaut,
right.
But his name was actually Steven Austin,
Right.
but Steve Austin Astronaut, $6 Million Man. If you want to learn more about his workshop, go to www.theactorsvoiceworkshop.com and be ready to come on a Tuesday night at the Cottonwood Center for the Arts in Colorado Springs. Look them up, let them know that you're coming so they can know the numbers that are coming. And he gives homework so you can be prepped for the script or whatever before you come in.
Yeah.
And I love the jump in and be in there.
Right.
And that's the best way to learn. So if you're coming, you don't want to be timid and say you're an actor if you're timid.
No.
You want to come in and jump. Be ready. Be ready to fly, flap your wings and work. Because he will challenge you, because he did challenge me, especially as I was dancing, as I was doing my trend, reading the teleprompter. I'm like, I'm so nervous, I'm dancing. And so I had to stop that in order to focus on the words. But really good.
And that's what you need to get better and take your work to the next levels. You need a coach to be off camera telling you what you're doing. Because otherwise, we, as an individual, we don't really know that. You have to be so self-aware and know what you're doing with your fingers and what are you doing with your You know, are you doing with your body? Are you
Twitch.
swaying? Because a lot of people concentrate so much on the reading, and then they get into a pattern of swaying with their body, whether it's going to and fro or back and forth, or just kind of, you know, doing this or something in their voice. They
Yes.
might do a like that or exhaling. There's so much to think about.
I catch that on the mic, so I do not like exhales and inhales.
And one of the biggest things before we go is that the most important thing about the workshop is that I put your work on camera bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, you get your own work. I send it to you in the form of a YouTube clip that's private, unlisted, and only you and myself can see. And then I ask the actor to watch their own work during that whole week and watch it dozens of times, not just once.
Wait, we don't get to watch each other's?
No, not really. Not unless you want to share it. I leave that up to the actors. If they want to share, that's fine. And then that way you watch your own work and understand why my notes were the way they were, saying, oh yeah, now I want you to pay attention to what you were doing and pay attention to your vocal pattern or whatever the note is. And that is the best way we found that you take your work up a notch every single month, every single year. And then eventually you get to share that with your agent and say, hey, check this out. I think I'm ready for ear prompter work or teleprompter work. Or check it out. I love it when actors share their own work with their agent so that they know that, hey, I'm studying. Check this out. Look at what I did.
I'm preparing.
Yeah, we don't want that to get on social media, of course, because we use actual television commercial scripts. But if you share it with your agent, they're not going to post it and all that. But it's the best way to learn and to make huge strides in your work. That's how I did it. I go, oh, I understand what I'm doing now with my eyebrows. You know, actors do a lot of this stuff. You know, where they just do it.
They do a lot of eyebrow work.
Right. And you have to have a relaxed forehead because all of a sudden the clients all of a sudden look at your forehead. And you don't want them looking at your forehead. You want them listening to you and selling the product, right? So,
well, I'm a speaker coach. I help people get onto TED stages and bigger stages. And one of the things I realized is I'm used to being on stage and teaching people how to present and give their message. When I started doing podcasts with actual visuals and Facebook Lives, I would get onto the camera and I noticed that I would blink like repeatedly for some reason. I'm like, why do I blink so much? I mean, this is so... No, that's how I naturally blink. So now, it sounds crazy, I control my blinking.
Good. And being self-aware. You really have to work at it, don't you?
You do. You have to think about it.
There's so many things to remember, but the more you do it, and the more you're in a workshop and you're constantly doing that every 2 weeks, and you're getting in front of a camera like this one, and you're working on, and then you watch your own work over and over again. But you need that coach to be there to validate what you're seeing and saying, Steve, what can I do to work on my eyebrows or my eye movements or my forehead or whatever it is? And then that's what we work on in a workshop for the individual. Everybody in the workshop are at different levels, right? So you have beginners and then you have the advanced people who are out there with agents and they're already auditioning for TV shows and movies. So, yeah.
Well, you think about it. You know, growing up, you always heard practice makes perfect. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Nice. Nice.
You need someone to be watching you to grow you to whoever you are, whoever you want to be. Now, if you're in the area in the Colorado Springs or Denver and you're willing to drive down on a Tuesday night, check out the Actors Voice Workshop. The Actors with an S, voiceworkshop.com. Right. Talk to Steve. Get into the class. Grow yourself as an actor. And if you say, well, I'm not an actor now, I don't know if I want to be, remember what I said. You need to be prepared. If you want something, prepare your path for it, and it will come in your midst. Be ready when it happens. So thank you so much, Steve, for being on the show.
Remember that for Denver, I noticed you said Denver, too. Paul teaches in Littleton.
Oh.
So for those of you who are in the Denver metro region, you don't want to make that drive now through all that construction. Not a good thing. But look up Roaring Success, that's spelled ROARING, roaringsuccess.org. And I have a link on my website anyway to his.
So go to his website.
Yeah, he teaches on Tuesday nights as well.
Oh.
Yep.
So Tuesday nights in
Paul
Littleton or in Colorado Springs, go to theactorsvoiceworkshop.com and learn. Figure it out and get into the class, even if you're not in it yet, or you think, I'm good, but I'm not that good. Maybe I should. If you have doubt, get in. Okay? It's better to polish the rock to a diamond and be ready for the shine than to wait for the shining moment and try to polish the rock. Okay? Be the shiny rock. Have a fabulous week, everyone. Thank you, Steve, for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see, hopefully, many of you on Tuesday night at the workshop.
See you at workshop.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.